a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giant football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up and keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, the Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me. I'm Rob. I gotta turn the lights on.
Oh, yes, turn off the lights and I'll glow to the extreme. I reckon Mike like a vandal. Oh, yes. Didn't know I'd be rapping in Vanilla Ice today, did you?
Ding, 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 ding.
Is that under pressure?
Of course. It's Vanilla Ice.
No, I'm saying
I know.
All right, guys. So this is our weekly show we've been doing here. Seems like the last couple weeks here of going over all the lovely practice news. We're talking about practice here.
Practice?
Say. So yeah, we got the mandatory mini camp happen this week, which is basically, even Dable himself basically said it without saying it, that it's just an extension of the OTAs. It's a couple more practices. These ones just happen to be contractually obligated basically for everybody to go to. So you can't back out. You can't say, I don't want to go. If you're under contract, you got to be there or else you get fined. So the big news really came out of there, I thought, though, was all the interviews. So the media gets a lot more access during that. There's a lot more interviews going on than the OTAs had. So there definitely was some good news out of that. Of course, we got some notes on the actual practices themselves. And, of course, we have to go over the latest round of Saquon Barkley news that the media has just blown right out of proportion. Yeah, it's just like, as the Saquon turns.
It just keeps on running back.
Oh, it's insanity. But before we get into all that, we do need to go over a roster move today. Ooh, a roster move. So Dre Miller, the tight end that we're trying to convert over from the wide receiver position, got released today with a waived/injured designation there, which is weird because I still haven't heard anything about an actual injury from him, but I have to assume there is one for him to be waived injured designation at that point. That's not something you get unless you're actually injured.
It's called a damaged pride and hurt ego.
Listen, it's in the end, that was a guy that, let's be very frank, I don't think you or I anticipated him actually making the roster, potentially not even practice squad. So therefore,
and many of casual Giant fans may have not known this name.
Who?
You say Dre, they might be like, Dr. Dre?
Dr. Dre?
You don't know anything about Dre.
Is there a doctor in the house? So the Giants made that move in conjunction with signing defensive lineman Kobe Smith, who was originally undrafted free agent out of South Carolina. Yes, the Gamecocks. Oh, yes, the Gamecocks. In 2020. In his short time in the league now, so you think about it, this is now, going into now the 2003 season. So he's now had 3 seasons in this league. In that time frame, he's played for the Titans, the Buccaneers, the Eagles, and the Falcons, and has not seen one single professional game. What does that tell you? Camp body. That's all it is, camp body. They're bringing him in to have another body there to run some sprints, and that's about it. I mean, you got to think at this point, if there was something there, you wouldn't have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams passing up on him while he's on their roster, and 32 teams passing up on him 7 times on draft night. Just saying.
You're a bum.
Probably not a guy you should expect much of. I think that's safe.
Probably a guy who would be cut.
Like I said, not a guy that I think would be going, that's a good player there. No, this is a guy who's probably going to be his last stint in the NFL at this point, because enough teams have dropped him that, quite frankly, don't have good teams overall. The Falcons, I wouldn't say, have a great defense.
Are you going to say we're going to cut the Cocks?
I think the Gamecock is going to go. The Gamecock will go without seeing a game.
He'll be ripped right off the team.
But unless there's a ton of injuries, but even then, I got to think there's probably a guy in the street you can pick up that's better than him. I'm a bit confused by the move overall, unless, like I said, it's just he's in the area. We need another body. We're about to cut someone. I feel like there's something we're missing in this. What is it? What is it? Like, I don't get it. We signed already a bunch of the. I mean, it's just like, is somebody injured on our team that we're just like, maybe just another camp body for a couple of weeks there at that point? Is Robinson the free agent pickup we had? Is he still injured? Is he not going to play? I mean, like I said, that just screams camp body move, and not even the full camp.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he's not going
to make a weekly paycheck in the NFL. That's what he is. Let's call it what it is. So, all right. On to the quotes from the mandatory minicamp. Well, there's a lot of good quotes here. First, we had Leonard Williams, who really haven't heard much from this offseason. And I think the big question that most people are still asking is, what the hell is going on with his contract? He has the third largest cap number in the NFL, by the way. Third largest. The only person with a larger cap number, Leonard Williams this season. Patrick Mahomes, can't dispute that one.
No.
Yep. And Ryan Tannehill.
You can dispute that one.
You could dispute it, but you can also say Tannehill is very important right now to the Titans.
I was going to say, he is also the leader of the offense.
Leader of the pack.
From.
But I mean, a guy who's getting paid like a $32 million cap number right now, and the Giants haven't done anything, and it just tells you one of two things is definitely the case, or both. Just that Joe Schoen is that serious about clearing the cap from all the BS moves we did in the past, and wants to start with a clean slate next year, or the Giants aren't so sure they want to keep him past this year.
Yeah, it could be bye-bye.
I mean, the guy's been in the league for quite a while now, but he's still just 29 years old. And again, defensive tackles play into their mid-30s a lot of times. So it's not like he's like, you got 1 or 2 more years and you're out of the league kind of scenario for him. But, he was asked about the postseason. Last year was his first year getting a chance to get a little taste of the postseason here. And he was asked about it. He said, it motivates me a lot. Last year shows me when we have everything it takes right here in the building to go even further. We made it there. We added some more additions to our team, just got closer, built more and more camaraderie. That was my first time going through the playoffs. We got a win in the playoffs. I'm getting closer toward the end of my career. That really motivates me, is getting the Super Bowl ring. And, assuming we have a good season again, I want the Giants to replay this quote for him when it comes time for contracts.
Yeah.
Because, by all accounts, he was a pretty fierce negotiator every single time they've gone to talk to his people about a contract. And that contract talk's going to come up again this next offseason coming up next year. So
and there's no way he's going to get paid the same money next year.
Well, you can't pay Dexter Lawrence, over $20 million a year and then pay Leonard Williams over $20 million a year. It just doesn't work. You don't pay $40 million for your defensive tackles.
Yeah.
You just don't. So, I mean, granted, Leonard Williams moves around the line, but, I mean, he is, for all intents and purposes, a defensive line, defensive tackle kind of guy there. You just don't do that. So we'll have to see what happens there, but it's interesting to see him kind of seeing the end in sight of his career at just 29. It just seems so weird. If only I could retire at 30.
Yeah.
Be 15 years. It'd be 10 years retired now.
The guys that work late in the NFL besides Tom Brady's 35.
Yeah.
Besides if you're a kicker. But
it tells you, I mean, if he's 29 now, it'll be 30. That means, at the end of the year.
And he probably gets another 3-year contract somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, just possibly it. I mean, I hate to say it that way because, again, he could play into his mid-30s. Some defensive tackles do, and they play pretty well into the mid-30s. In the end, you're a big old fat body to clog a hole. Let's call it what it is. I mean, how many years?
Screw guys.
How many years like Vince Wilfork played, for example? He looked like he was like 50 by the time he retired. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, you just got to kind of keep an eye and see where it goes for him year by year. And next up on the list of quotes here from the minicamp, Daniel Bellinger, who I thought had some really interesting quotes. Before we get into some of the ones I wrote down, one I didn't wrote down that I probably should have is he was asked about the whole guns he brought to the party there with his arms. And he basically said it was just the angle, the light, and the fact that he just caught a ball basically is what happened there. So he's downplaying the arms. He actually said he's coming in lighter this year than he was last year. He just added muscle but cut down this fat. So anybody who knows anything about lifting whatsoever, and Rob can attest to this, he knows a lot more about lifting than I do. I stop at 20 ounces, but he can tell you the same thing that I'm about to say, that muscle weighs more than fat. So if you added muscle, took off fat, and lost weight, one of two things happen. You either drop a ton of fat or not a lot of muscle.
I mean, if you looked at his arms last year compared to, like, if you got an overhead and you get the right angle, it's going to make you look way more ripped than what you are in real life. Like,
what angle is this? All the Instagrammers want to know.
From the top, just like on MySpace, like every girl that went like this,
yes,
to hide that second chin,
yes,
it also hides everything else. It makes you look more vain.
I think duck lips also is the key to having bigger arms.
In MySpace, yeah. But yeah, I mean, muscle weighs twice as much as fat. So you're telling me if you lost weight and you gain muscle, like how much weight did you lose? Like, because he wasn't a big guy.
Yeah.
But if he lost 10 pounds, because he was what, 217, 225?
Oh, he's probably more than that. I have to look it up now. Now you make me look up and research. Up while you're talking.
Yeah. So, like, if you lose that weight, especially at that body mass, like 10 pounds isn't that much, especially if it's water weight. Like, he could have been a little dehydrated at the time.
He's listed at 255.
Damn.
I knew he's more than that. 220 is like practically wide receiver.
So, all right. So, if you're 180 pounds and you lose 10 pounds, like, that's a big deal. That's what, almost 6-7% of your body weight. So that man losing 10 pounds is,
you don't really see it.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. So if you gain muscle and lose some body fat, which he could probably drop 20 pounds to make himself look like that and gain muscle. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like you said, it's
I didn't realize it was that big. I was thinking.
No, he's legit tight end size. He's not one of the tweeners that is, just a slightly big wide receiver like some of the guys out there, like Waller, for example. So first quote he was actually asked about Darren Waller. Who would have thought?
Spectacular.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought if he asked?
That's the quote. Spectacular.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing. He's being asked about Darren Waller. It's like almost like that's being set up by every single question to every single player. But I was kind of curious his thoughts on that because, I mean, the guy kind of took a starting spot on the roster. I know his dad made some comments on Twitter that kind of got some people riled up when the trade first happened and all. He said he's one of the best tight ends in this league. In my personal opinion, he's top 3 and not 3, which is interesting. That means he's saying 1 or 2, which you got to think is number 2.
Yeah.
Who does number 2 work for? The New York Giants. He's not just a great overall player. He's a great guy. I'm excited to learn from him. I was already watching film on him before we got him. Then Coach Bish, which is tight ends coach Andy Bischoff, had a relationship with him before that. I had a good talk with him before, got connected with him, just learning a lot from him. So, good to have a positive attitude at least going into that. He was asked point blank what he has learned. He said a lot of different things I can see on film, how he attacks guys leverage wise on defense, stuff like that. Things I could see off film, but now I can actually pick his brain, really talk and sit down. What were you thinking on this play? Things like where could I see his thought process on a play? So again, this is that iron sharpens iron kind of situation at that point there. Darren Waller being on this team helps develop Daniel Bellinger into a better player.
Which is fantastic because we've talked about this before that
Yep.
Darren Waller is going to be our top receiver pretty much this year.
Yeah.
His blocking, not so much.
Not
And
so
tight
good.
end, that's part of your job too. Bellinger, he's a pretty damn good blocker. We've talked about that regardless. And then for a tight end, like he had average play, especially for a rookie. So like it was good play to be average in the NFL.
Especially a rookie coming out of the 4th round. Like it wasn't like a guy that you had like these huge expectations.
That's what I'm saying. Like we thought he was going to get like no receiving yards, and you know, what he put up, even
we thought he'd
being
be Howard
injured,
Cross 2.0.
Yeah. So now like he's learning like how to cut, just different things that Waller's doing. Like like we're not gonna have Waller forever.
As I say, a couple of years from now, if we lose Waller at that point, and he's just around for 2-3 years. Well, there you go. Bellinger's still very young. He can take over that role.
That's exactly what I was about to get at.
Yep. I like it. I like it overall. And I like that he has the positive attitude. So he was also asked about having decreased targets because obviously that's something that's going to happen.
And this is my favorite answer. That like I love the way he responds to Waller, Class A gentleman.
Now you're building it up. You're building it up now. Now it has to be the greatest answer. This is the greatest answer. I was going Greatest Showman instead. You were going. We went totally different routes there. You went Jack Black. I went. So anyway, he's asked about decreased targets. He said, honestly, I'm not even worried about it. I'm going to do what I can to help the team win. He's a unicorn of a player. Whatever it takes to help us win, whether that's I get more or less, doesn't matter to me. Whatever helps.
That's 100% team player. This is exactly what you want out of your tight end or any player.
Yeah, it's about as good as a response you can get. So before we move on to our next quotes here, which is from Jerome Henderson, the defensive backs coach, we do have a couple of comments here. First off, we got Lamar Adams back in the house here. Lamar is asking again, July 17th deadline, will Saquon Barkley get paid or not? I think it's safe to say he'll get paid, but we'll talk about that in a minute there as far as how he might get paid.
We're getting down that line, but yeah.
And then Deb says, seems like a deal with Barkley might not happen until last minute like TJ's deal.
100%.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we're everybody's on the Barkley train. I'm telling you, it's like the Giant fans are like a Barkley now.
Barkley.
Honestly, we're going to talk about the Barkley stuff here in a minute. We're done talking about the mini camp. But honestly, guys, don't follow the media when they go with daily updates and this stuff here. We're going to talk about some of his comments that I know has got some people freaked out, but honestly, these comments were way overblown. Way overblown.
So listening to this status day by day, hour by hour, it's like watching your 401k or your stock day by day, hour by hour. Unless you're a day stalker, stop.
Day stalker.
Day stalker.
Is that like a position at Target? Day stalker.
Could be.
You mean
a day trader.
A day trader.
Whatever. Sorry.
Day stalker.
Yeah, whatever. Guy that is stock market. Stalker.
It's like the unvampire.
What, are you coming from, Florida?
Yes, I am. Connor says, I can't lose weight no matter what I do. Shut up. Wow.
I mean, have you tried not eating?
Wow. Let's not be the ones telling people to be bulimics, okay, or anorexics or anything.
Yeah, I was about to say anorexic. Get your.
I was including both eating disorders to be inclusive. We're supposed to be inclusive nowadays, aren't we? He also says, "Don't be scared, Roberto, but I just saw your cabinet open up behind you." The Oreos are attacking. Alrighty, on to Jerome Henderson here. So basically he acknowledged that he fully anticipates teams to test Deonte Banks, the rookie corner there, the first round pick. And he says he's been stressing for Banks to kind of keep his emotions out of it. But he did say that the Giants, quote unquote, got a good one in Banks. So Jerome Henderson's one of those guys that if you follow beyond just the coordinators, you actually look at the position coaches like that, he's probably the highest rated position coach we really have at least on the defense side of the ball. It's kind of hard to compare offense, defense like that. But like we talked about before, if Wink was to have gone this offseason, I was very adamant about Jerome Henderson to take the job. I have that much respect for the guy. He also says the versatility of Nick McLeod and Bobby McCain allow for a quote-unquote maximum versatility in matchups. So what does that tell you guys? Read between the lines. There's going to be a whole lot of movement going around for those two. Sometimes at corner, sometimes at safety, sometimes a slot. It's going to be like
a committee. It sounds like what he said through the whole camp. Like there's going to be a little bit of a committee and a lot of movement between the players to play matchup against the players on the field they're playing against. We couldn't do that last year because we didn't have players to do it. And now we have different players. Yeah, now we have different players to get match up to different opposing players.
Oh, yeah. You got guys who can play safety, who can play corner. I mean, that's a nice option to have. That's for dang sure. So
you rotate them, guess what? These guys don't get tired as fast.
I'm sure they get tired. They're still humans, Rob.
Yeah. I'm tired right now, guys. I'm sorry.
I am, seriously. I'm going to lie. I had a huge, long shift at work today. Worked 12 hours, came here, worked on this. So I'm going to take a little nap. Rob, you take over. No.
All right. Special appearances. Let's go.
Yeah, we definitely had some big names at the mini camp there. The biggest one I think got a lot of the most attention was the tuna. I almost combined the tuna. So Bill Parcells himself in the house, and you saw pictures of him, talking to Dable, talking to Joe Shane, doing his thing. You gotta wonder, like, Bill Parcells and his personality. Like, we all know what Bill Parcells is. Let's be honest. Bill Parcells has, shall we say, a very healthy ego.
Yes.
I think it's a safe way of wording this. Like, and that's not a disrespect thing. The guy has proven over decades that he is one of the best coaches to ever coach the NFL. Like,
and it's okay
have your ego.
Back it up. It's not cocky, which is
it's still cocky.
There's a difference between cocky and having an ego. There's a difference.
It's a warranted cockiness.
Well, I mean, with Parcells, maybe, yeah.
Like I said, it still is, and it's fine. It's fine to say it. It's not a disrespect. The guy has backed up his cockiness, so therefore it's okay. But you gotta wonder if he just kind of struts around like he owns the place.
Probably does.
Like,
hey,
I coached here for years. I tried to leave. They wouldn't let me. I stuck around, left eventually.
Got a couple more rings after that too.
He did try to leave, remember, after 86.
Yeah.
He did try to leave. The NFL wouldn't let him out of his contract. People forget that sometimes. Parcells was not the loyal coach. He followed the money.
I mean, also at the end of the day, can you blame him? Because it's not
yes, you have a contract. Don't sign the contract then.
Touche. But I'm saying follow the money. Like, you can't blame the guy.
If a player had done what Parcells did in his career, he would have such a bad reputation. It's not even funny. We'll get to that. We get to our coaches. We are planning doing the best coach of all time episode. I'm just saying, though, I think there's a double standard that he enjoyed. Also, besides the tuna there, we had the Gap himself. Not the store, but Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan in the house. Also, the Big Bopper. I'm giving people their own nicknames now. Brandon Jacobs. I think that'd be a cool nickname for him when he played, the Big Bopper. I mean, that's what he was.
That's good.
I mean, seriously, I'm saying Big Bopper.
I give it to him. I like it.
So the three of them all show up mini camp there. It's nice to, the fact that the Giants. It's twofold, I should say. It's nice that the Giants invite those guys in, but it's also nice that those guys take that opportunity and do come in.
Yeah,
it's nice on both fronts.
And what I also like about our coaching staff now is that it's let's make our history now, but let's respect our history.
Oh yeah,
that got us our legacy. Like, there's been coaches in the past, but I'm not gonna do. Oh, sorry, allergies. Who tried to forget our history, and let's try to make our own history. Like, I mean, love shows love a way to do whatever it's got to do, whatever the quote is. But, respecting your past helps you respect your now and respect your future.
Elders.
I mean,
get off my lawn.
Hooligans.
That'd be funny if Bill Parcells just walked around with a random players. Get off my lawn. He's that.
It's an AstroTurf.
He is the get off my lawn age now.
He is.
He's got to be in his 80s now, right? Am I?
I would have to assume so.
I mean, I gotta think so. I really do. It's like, let me see. He's
81.
Now. 81. Yeah. I'm looking it up. 81 years old. I knew he was probably in his 80s. Yeah, he's right in that prime get off my lawn kind of years.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
All right. Anyway, let's go.
Did you see how high his pants was tucked into his polo?
I wasn't looking at his pants that intently as you seem to have been, Rob.
Well, I mean, half his polo was missing, so it's kind of hard.
Half his polo is missing. It's like hiked up to his nipples. This is how I hide moobs.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the notes on the actual minicamp itself here. Honestly, guys, there's not a ton of notes on the actual minicamp itself. A lot is pomp and circumstance that the big names we just talked about come in to visit, all the different, press conferences, interviews, and that kind of stuff there. A lot of it is same as the OTAs. You run through some plays, you do some passes, you do some catches, you do some, defensive plays and some drills. If you all played football at any point, that it's exhausting as a player and boring as a fan. Let's call it what it is. So, overall notes. First off, 100% attendance by those under contract. I give that caveat because obviously Saquon Barkley, who we're going to talk about later on here, was not there because he's not under contract. But otherwise, if you are a Giant, you are under contract, and therefore you are at the mandatory minicamp. Day one was specifically treated like a passing camp, according to Daywell, which was kind of nice to see. Bobby McCain, we talked about him a minute ago there from Jerome Henderson, talking about his versatility. Up and there he goes, revving along the Bobby McCain engine there.
That was Bobby McCain going.
Listen, if there was ever a football player with a NASCAR name, it's Bobby McCain. Seriously, I could see that being a NASCAR name.
In car.
But yeah, so he had 2 interceptions that first day, one of them for a touchdown as well. Plus, he broke up a pass. That's a great start to the minicamp there. Nick McLeod, though, got most of the first team reps with McKinney. That's one of the matchups people are really watching pretty intently there, is that and the left guard position, which by all accounts, Josh Uzudu is falling behind Ben Bredesen on that account too. So for those watching the big camp battles... Yeah,
but also I would take this with a grain of salt too, because they're trying to see what different players can do at different positions, and they're going to be switching them up. Like they did the same thing last year, and we were all like, "Oh, Majak looks great as a tight end." Like we were all like, "Davis Webb." like I wouldn't take it with a grain of salt of how well they played, especially because right now it's almost just a step pace faster of the OTAs of what they were doing.
I look at it this way: if you're in the news for the mini camp for good things, there's nothing bad that comes out of that.
No. Listen,
the big thing that I'm looking at is more who's playing with the number ones, because it kind of gives you an idea of the camp battles.
Well, that's something else I was trying to say. All right, McKinnon had a great day, but Clyde also got a lot of reps with McKinney to see how they play together.
Yeah. But you got to think, if McLeod is getting the first round like that, the first team reps like that, and McCain got the interceptions and the touchdown, that tells you McCain is either running as a third safety or as a slot corner.
I mean, we also didn't hear much media, so who was the quarterback? Was Tyra Taylor throwing the ball?
Everything I've heard, it was Daniel Jones. I hadn't heard that all of them were, but I did hear something about an interception, but Daniel Jones. So
I heard one. So but that's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, but he, like I said, we'll have to see. I mean, unless he just got in for a couple plays and that was his a couple plays, and he just played that well. We'll see. One thing I saw a lot of big news on was Paris Campbell getting reps at running back. And I'm a little shocked, to be honest, that people are shocked by that. Why would you be? He ran as a running back occasionally in Indy. We had, people like Wandale and Tony also doing just the same thing for the Giants. And we all know that Dable and Kafka love having, versatility on offense. So why would we be shocked that a guy who can play in multiple positions is playing multiple positions?
Imagine
intelligent thought process here.
To imagine a scenario.
Okay.
We're in the red zone.
Okay, we're in there. I'm seeing red, and I'm seeing
a
zone.
Red zone. Close game. Down by 4.
There.
We only got a minute or so to go in the red zone. You set up Waller, Bellinger.
I'm there.
You set up Barkley, Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say whatever you want at receiver.
Whatever you want
to be the fastest. Yeah, we'll say like Wandale and Shep. Like, where does the ball go?
Yeah.
Who do you cover? Like, do you have to respect both of these guys coming in the backfield? Do you have to respect your tight ends going out? Do you have to respect these 2 slot receivers going around? Like, it confuses the defense. So to practice him at running back, it's just something that they're going to sprinkle into the playbook down here.
It's also, like I said, it's something he did though in Indy. He had 5 rushes last year for 58 yards. So it's not like I'm expecting it to be a regular thing per se, but you got to expect it's going to be there occasionally. Now, interesting enough, 5 of those rushing attempts were of those, 2 of them were first downs. So that's a pretty good ratio. So again, he's done it with
from
some
5
success.
for 58. So he had more than first downs on those 2.
Well, he had 2 first downs is what they're saying on that.
I'm just saying he ran way more than 10. If it ran for 5,
he had to have had 2 very long rushes. I know
that's what I'm saying.
One of them was 28 yards. It tells me
there we go.
So you got 28 yards.
30
you had 4 for 30, basically. Yeah.
So then you get so to say 11 yards and the rest. 3 and 4. Even still, if you go 3 for 28, whatever it is, he's still.
But regardless, like I said, that's a good ratio. It's a good number. I'll take it. And like I said, I don't think it's going to be a huge part of the offense, but I do think you're going to occasionally see him do that. Whether it's end arounds, whether it's, him just coming out of the backfield randomly to confuse the defense. It's going to happen, guys. As long as he's healthy, which is a big caveat with him.
Yes.
So.
And half our receivers.
Yeah, pretty much out of the whole roster. Speaking of injured players, Sterling Shepard. He was also seen running routes and taking passes from Jones. So that's good
he looks surprisingly good and fast and able to cut.
Seriously. Pretty nimble.
Yeah, if you guys treat yourself, Google or go on YouTube.
Sit down with the Ben and Jerry's first. You're gonna treat yourself.
Yeah.
Chunky
I'm a
monkey,
big fan.
Americone.
Anything with peanut butter and chocolate. Let's go.
Salted caramel core is my favorite. I just love caramel.
I could go for that. I could go for the salted caramel.
It's really good. It's like a big glob of it in the middle.
See, I'm not a big caramel or salt guy, but sometimes I like it a little different.
I am the sweet tooth guy. I need more sugar with my sugar.
Well, you just said salt and caramel.
I know, but it's just really sugary because it's a big glob of caramel in the middle. The saltiness just goes well with it. Anyway,
I'm just saying the guy was zigging and zagging. It almost looked like he was running full speed, and it was impressive for a guy.
Ahead.
For an older receiver, not older man, older receiver,
seasoned.
There we go, seasoned, if you will, to come back that fast off an ACL surgery and be able to
8-9 months. I mean,
to run like that, a lot of those guys take like a year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So 8-9 months.
I'm saying, it was week 1, 2.
The nice thing is, and this is going to come out bad at first, but he's used to it. He's very skilled at coming back from injury.
See, I expected like Wandale to do something not quite this fast, but he's also younger and never had this injury, who's also possibly and most likely going to be a little more hesitant to run it fast.
And that's what it boils down to. And you know, when you have an injury to your lower body and you depend on your lower body for a lot of what you do, you get a little scared when you first come back because you're worried you're going to hurt yourself again. Whereas, you know, Shep knows how his body reacts injury-wise so well. Again, it just sounds like a slap in the face the way I'm complimenting this man. I don't mean it that way. I promise you guys. I have a lot of respect for Shep.
It's just, he's got to understand his
how his body responds coming back from injury because he's just had so many. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
He's not the guy. This is not his first rodeo. You know, like he's gone to several rodeos at this point.
Yeah.
So, in fact, he's gone to the same exact rodeo before with ACL. So,
that's
therefore, he knows what he's doing.
And hopefully he doesn't return that ACL week 1.
Oh, gosh. Please no. All righty.
Yeah.
We got a couple more comments here, and then we're going to go into the Saquon notes, which it sounds like a lot of the comments we've seen so far, so everybody's all hyped out about is the Saquon quotes here. Let's see.
Guys, stop reading every day about Saquon.
As we're going to proceed to talk about Saquon.
Hey, we do it once a week.
After the show.
We do it once a week.
Connor says, nap time. Baby needs his pacifier. Wash, wash, snore, snore. And he says, wah, wah, not wash, wash. I like.
I do need a shower, so.
Correcting yourself when he makes us point out the funniness of you saying wash, wash more. Saying, listen, we're all tired of
towel back there.
Connor also says, I almost bought a bottle of whiskey today because it has Giant written on it, and I forgot my wallet. LOL.
Oh, no.
So you stole it, what you're saying. You stole the bottle of whiskey, Connor, didn't you?
Discount.
Five finger discount. All righty, on to the Saquon notes here. So Saquon hosted his youth camp here in Jersey City on Sunday, and all week long it's all we're hearing about. Barkley said this, Barkley said that, Barkley did this, Barkley did that. Listen, half of what they're suggesting that Barkley said is being so overblown it's not even funny. First off, a little bit about the actual event before I get into the quotes here, just so everybody's aware of what he did exactly, because it's a nice thing. He's giving back to the community. It's associated with the Boys and Girls Club, is my understanding as well. So hosted 150 kids. 150 kids. These kids will talk about this for years. They got the step on the football field with Saquon Barkley. Like, seriously. Other Giants that also were involved with it, Darren Waller, Micah McFadden, Dane Belton, Dexter Lawrence, and Wink Martindale also came by as well. So, and this is why I keep saying things are overblown. Like, you think the relationship is messed up. You think Wink Martindale would have gone there if the relationship is souring between the Giants and Saquon Barkley. He's a coach. It's different when the players show up. When one of the main coaches, that's like having the assistant manager show up to the employee's birthday party when he called out for the last couple of days. Like, it doesn't happen. Like,
and listen, if you think Saquon wasn't going to play this year, you think he'd be hanging out with the new kid on the block?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, Darren Waller, I think he knows that the two of them are basically the biggest offensive weapons we got. So, I mean, the two of them having a good relationship, obviously good.
It's 100% good, but at the same time, if you're planning not to play, why bother?
Yep. Exactly. So let's get into the actual quotes here. So he said, I think they're open to talking. I'm open to talking. I think at the end of the day, if you really break it down and look at it as a whole, there is no rush. So keep on, listen to that for a second. There is no rush. You hear all these guys in the media, oh, there's a rush. Oh, there's a rush. This is happening. That's happening. So bad. Saquon's telling you there's no rush. Saquon's saying it. So there is still time on the table to get to July 17th. July 17th is not tomorrow. It's not in a week. That's how I look at it. Maybe that is the naive way to look at it. I could be completely wrong. But for me, that's how I look at it. I could be completely wrong. Hopefully, I trust in the Giants that we could get something done. Yeah. Does that sound negative?
Yep,
That's what everybody's been portraying his comments at this camp as being negative.
Yeah, it's called clickbait.
I know. That's why it just annoys me.
Yeah.
You know what?
It does know.
It says always annoyed me as somebody who's a Giant fan in general and somebody who falls occasionally for clickbait. It really does. But
and they paint him in like that negative thing, and you listen to it, it's like he's kind of siding with the Giants if you kind of think about it. Like, why is everyone upset?
You know what also annoys me? It annoys me more this year than other years in the past, because now that we've been doing the show for almost a year, this is our first off season. It's like, could we get more followers and more likes and more views if we did some clickbaity BS like this? Of course.
Well, I follow the Giants a little bit. Not a little bit, way more in the off season than I did in times past. So the fact that I have to watch this multiple times a day,
but
perturbs me.
It just annoys me. Like I said, that like we could get more viewership, probably more subscribers if we play that game. We're not going to play that game. We're not. That's like the ambulance chaser lawyers and the used car salesman of the Giant content creators, the ones that are doing that. I'm sorry, I'm calling it what it is, and I'm not going to call any specific names because I don't have a specific name off the top of my head.
It's called Benny Hill. Through the doors.
Like I said, it just annoys me. I kept seeing guys that I know do content creation for the Giants, stuff at that point, and just see that it's just annoying. So. He was asked about being tagged. He said, me getting tagged, was I upset about it? Nobody wants to be tagged. To sit here and say I was frustrated, I was mad, I was upset, but what really got me upset was the stories that got leaked out and how misleading they were and how untruthful they were. Now, it wasn't specified what lies, what untruths he's talking about there. But you got to think that it's probably a lot of the contract rumors, because there's been rumors floating around. He was offered $12.5, then $13 million a year, but there were very broad numbers, no guarantees, no years, nothing like that.
And just be devil's advocate, he was also very broad with his answer. But as a salesman to himself, that's how you have to answer that. You can't be like, I'm upset about this.
Yeah, and he's got to keep it somewhat in check, he can't show everything, because eventually
at the same time he also wants to
Joe Shane.
I was going to say he wants to play with this organization, and he wants to retire Giant.
Yeah, he does.
He's not going to want to throw anyone under the bus or try to make anyone sound bad in an organization. Like, he's stand-up player.
Yep.
And before this past week, I did think he was going to play off a tag. I don't think he will. Did I blow the load, or is it too fast? Should we wait?
No. So here's the interesting thing on that. So the news came out that the old contract that was on the table supposedly in the bye week got put
unspecified. Nope, I didn't hear the bye week. I just heard an old contract.
So I heard it was the one of the bye week, and then
I didn't hear that.
And then later on, they talk about the fact that was not necessarily true, that they maybe got a bad source on that. So it's kind of gone back and forth this weekend whether or not there's a contract on the table for him. Last I heard, it doesn't appear like there's a specific contract, but more of like broad numbers they've discussed.
Yeah, I heard a similar contract that was previously was in negotiation.
Yeah, I mean, again,
which is also very broad, especially from what we heard, from 12 to 14 or 13.5.
But I mean, here's what it is too as well. When it boils down to it, anytime you enter any kind of negotiation, even if it's on pause for a while, where do you start when you restart? You start from where you ended.
Yeah,
that's the logical thing. You're not going to be like, well, I know we're talking about 12.5, but here's your latest contract offer, $8 million a year. Like, you've already opened up that Pandora's box. You can maybe change it a little bit, but you're not going to go down that different from where you were already talking, or else you just started at square one again.
The only thing, in the NFL, like we all know, the guaranteed money. So, like, who knows when he was offered, rumored that with 13.5, 14, was his guaranteed money half that? And now it's 3/4. No one knows the details. So a little difference could still be like he still might get $13 million a year, but he's also now going to be guaranteed 10 over those courses.
It could very well be that
I'm just throwing random numbers out there.
I think the length and the guarantee is the big thing, because when people hear 12, 5, 13 million, I think people are assuming things like, oh, it's probably going to be for like 4 years, $28 million. $48 million. And people started throwing those numbers out there when they had no basis on that. They were just assuming, oh, it's going to be a 3 or 4 deal. It's got to be. We don't know. For all we know, they offered him 2 years, $26 million with $15 million guaranteed. We have not a single clue, folks.
Well,
and that's fine. We don't have to. That's a private conversation they're having.
Well, that's what when you heard
it private.
Yeah, when you heard 13.5.
Yeah,
that's like an odd number to just throw out there, the random half number. So to me, that's an even number deal.
Yep,
most likely. So to me, what I thought. Not saying that this came from anywhere else, but I thought it was a 2-year deal, $27 million, and possibly 17 guaranteed.
Yeah,
and he turned around and was like, "That's too low."
And again, you got to consider the source as well. When things are anonymous, nobody leaks things out they don't want leaked. I'm just putting that out there. No one leaks things out they don't want leaked. So who does it benefit? Who does it benefit saying 12.5, $13 million? That benefits the Giants. That made the Giants like, we gave this man a legitimate offer. So somebody within the Giants, I guarantee you, leaked that. And they purposely leaked just that, and that's it. No length, no guarantee, no nothing. Because it made them look good. That's what it was all about. So, again, we don't have the details of what the offer was. I hate how some people are like jumping down this man's throat as if he did something horrible by not taking that deal. Again, he's taking care of himself, his family. That's what he has to do. That's got to be his number one goal. You cannot blame a man for that. So yeah. So we're gonna have to see what happens overall. The biggest quote I think that went around though was him talking about a possible holdout. So he was asked if a holdout was an option, and he said, I think that's a conversation. Like you said, that's a card I could play. That comes up in conversation if something don't get done by July 17th. We got a little bit of time between there. When that day comes up, then I'll have to sit down with my team, sit down with my family, and make decisions. See what we're going to do. What's the next game plan? What's the next move? Now, he's saying that's a card he could play.
Which
he's
is
never saying
that he will do it.
Would do it. He's never even giving you any inclination to a percentage. So, yeah, guys, he's just doing what he's got to do to use any leverage he has. That's it. What do you want him to say? Oh, I am not holding out no matter what. If they don't give me what I want, I'll just sign the contract on July 17th.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying if he says no to that question. Why the hell would he do that?
He's got to leave that thought out there.
I cannot believe how many people were shocked that he said that. I really can't. Like, what do you expect this man to say? If he says no, that's not an option, then I'm telling you right now,
he doesn't get
end the negotiations, sign the franchise tag, just end it right then and there. Because there's no reason for the Giants to give him anything else. You took your only leverage you had away. So, again, don't read too much into the BS. He's just saying what he has to do to give himself some leverage. That's all there is to it. I'm pretty much guaranteeing you 99.99% that if July 17th comes around and there is no long-term deal for him to sign, he will simply sign the franchise tag and they will revisit this midseason. I think that's when they can do it at that point there, because I know they can't just sign that and then do a new deal. There's a time period in between, a cool down period, so to speak.
Around the bye week time.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's something like that. So you'll see that probably is what happens. And then obviously what contract he gets offered in that bye week depends on what he's doing this season.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's doing great.
It's not like they said, "Hey, we'll pay you 14 mil," but 8.5 that's guaranteed for the year, and then he plays like garbage. They're not gonna be like, "Oh, remember that 14 mil you want it? Oh,
You're 16.
yeah." Or you know what? Let's give you 11, and we'll guarantee you 6.5.
And that's the risk you take. And you have to look at it partially this way as well, that no matter what gets done, in the end, whatever he's being offered is probably better than taking just the franchise tag. So it's, one of those things that, you have to look at as a possibility that he's going to take the guarantee over the gamble. And does he want to gamble for himself?
Yeah. My thing was like, early in the year, I'm like,
yeah,
50% chance he gets signed, 50% chance he's playing a tag. Because either way, I don't think he's sitting it out. He has to say there's a thought of sitting it out because he's got to negotiate.
Yeah.
But we're talking offline and Smidge. I think he's got an ego. I think he's got a lot of pride. And I think he's going to say, hey, this is my best year yet, and this is what you're going to pay me. Like,
yeah,
I could go somewhere else, and here's my deal.
I think it's a healthy ego, though. I don't think it's like Parcells is up here.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Let's say, like, Parcells is up here.
I didn't say cocky. I didn't say cocky.
He's like down here.
Ego.
No, I'm just clarifying that just in case in the big. People like to take what people say and run with it. Like, oh, the goofball said that he's an egomaniac.
I didn't say egomaniac. He has an ego, which is fine.
That's fine. He should have an ego. He's
fine.
one of the most talented players in the NFL, point blank.
But
he should have an ego.
The way that things are rolling around, things are moving up. What I think he might get a similar deal from what we heard. I don't think he's going to reset the market. I don't think he's going to get what CMC was offered. He's going to get a healthy salary that's going to be more than the tag. It's not going to be guaranteed money, but he's also going to get a huge signing bonus, which will give him more money than all that.
Yeah.
To set him up. And he's going to get very nice incentives to get more.
And that's, I think, what they need to do. Make it incentive driven and get it where he gets paid based on his production, because people forget sometimes the guy was the second overall pick. He already got paid a ton of money for these first 5 years. His 5th-year option was actually a drop from when he got paid the first 4 years. He actually took a pay cut by them picking up that option. So I think what you have to do in the end is give him a contract with those loaded incentives, like you're saying there, and then let him earn the money. You want to get paid like a top running back? Then be a top running back.
Yeah. Listen, I'm fine when they say, hey, you know what? You want 15 mil? Guess what? We're going to guarantee you 9.
Yeah.
What? This is how you're going to make this. This is going to make this. This is your signing bonus.
Be healthy.
And then a lot of people are going to be like, wow, 15 mil, he's going to get 15 mil, but the guarantees almost half that. Yeah.
Let's see here. We got a couple comments here as well. So let's see. Connor first clarifies in his whiskey purchase he didn't make today. So he's a cop followed me, and I'm like, shit, I don't have my wallet. Then he had lights come on. He flew past me. What happens if you forgot your wallet? Get a ticket, or do they run your place? Oh, so we got pulled. I thought I was curious here where they was going. We talk about whiskey and you forgot your wallet, and then all of a sudden there's a cop involved in a car. I thought he was like a police chase kind of thing going on here. Yeah, so he said
nice bottle of whiskey.
Yeah, cop followed me, and I'm like, shit, I don't have my wallet. When he had the lights on, he flew past me. Oh yeah, I've done that before. I actually have had that. So the nice thing is, it depends on what state you're in, Connor, because being in Florida, the weird thing was, so we got in a car accident. Wasn't I'll be the first one to say I was the driver. It wasn't my fault, though. I was literally stopped at a traffic light, and a guy hits me. One of those where he thought we had went, even though we didn't move. I don't know why. And he hit me. No big deal. The guy was a really nice guy, actually. Just made a mistake. We all make them. He didn't have his registration with him. He didn't have his insurance with him. He did have his driver's license with him. That's it. Now, in some states, we're going to impound your damn car. And here's like $500 in tickets on top of that.
And then you also have to get that car towed out of
Yeah, get it out of impound, which is going to cost you more money. So there's $1,000 going basically for that mistake. In Florida, it was okay, no problem. We can look it up in the system. So it depends on what state you're in, Connor. It really does. I can tell you this. I got pulled over one time because I forgot to renew my registration, and the cop just told me point blank. And this is obviously before cams and stuff like that. Nowadays, that's the downfall of cams. Don't get me wrong. I like cams because it protects everybody, the cops and the people getting pulled over or whatever the case may be. But this is one of those cases that it would have really screwed me because the guy was like point blank. He's like, listen, there's a camera in the car. Park the car over there because I can't let you leave with this. Give it 2 minutes. When I leave, just go ahead and drive back home. Fill out the thing online and call it a day. If somebody pulls you over, just tell them that I pulled you over already and you and I talked and you're going home to do it.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
like I said, it all depends on the cop you get, but I wonder if they can have that itch for you guys up there now because they can't really do that stuff anymore. Let's see here. So Deb says, that's why I like coming here for news, no BS. Appreciate it, Deb. Definitely. Thank you very much. Connor says, we're watching some Giant show on YouTube. Guys, we're paying different amounts to leave comments. I'm like, WTF, you guys do that, I'm out. LOL, what a ripoff. Connor, is that about time to mention our sponsorships?
Nice segue, Connor.
No, so some of them do it based on if you comment, you get your thing on the screen. Here's my whole thing. And, listen, I don't want to ever say something we can't go back on. But I'll say it this way. Rob and I have no plans of ever doing that kind of thing. Because in the end, if you guys are coming on here and you're taking the time to listen and watch our show, you're coming on here and sharing your opinion. We want you guys to be part of the show. Point blank. Like I said, this has become a community with y'all, and I love that it has. I really do, because it's awesome. I feel like I know a lot of these people that are in the comments here. Like we got Deb and Connor obviously in here quite often here. We had Lamar earlier on commenting as well, who's in here, probably once a week as well.
Sanderson is a frequent.
Like I said, it's nice to see people on a regular basis like that. It's pretty cool, actually. It's like I kind of come on here and expect you guys to be on here to a certain degree, and it's not because like, oh, they're going to be on here no matter what. You know what I mean? Like I don't have that attitude about it, but I like the fact that the same people keep coming back as well, because it says you guys like the show, obviously, but B, it means you guys like interacting as well, and I don't want to ever take that away. So that's nothing we ever plan on doing at that point. So. Listen, if people want to pay for comments when YouTube opens that up to us eventually, because they will, then, feel free. But it's never going to be a requirement. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So let's see here. As I go on my little tangent there. Connor says, if you accidentally turn on that switch, Roberto will get pulled through the wall. Well, what switch is that? What switch is that? I want to turn the switch now. Connor says, will Saquon play less like himself because he doesn't get contract he wanted? That's what I worry about. I don't think that's an issue.
I don't think so.
I really don't think so. I think in the end, first off, the man has a lot of pride in what he does. That's one of the nice things about Saquon. If you notice the way he was acting, not this past season, but the season before in 2021, when, let's be honest, he wasn't Saquon. He was playing, but he wasn't Saquon. It wasn't quite healthy quite yet. He was still feeling the effects of the injury. That was killing him. You can tell he just wasn't having fun. Yeah. This year,
even coming into this offseason, even comes to this past offseason, and he's putting all this work, and he's like, well, you still got it. He goes, yeah, I'm going to be better than ever. I'm going to be great. I'm going to do this. Like, it wasn't cocky. Like, he's like, no, I've done a lot of work. Like, I will be better.
Yeah. Exactly. And I like that he has that attitude, and he looks fit. You see him working out with Giants helmets on and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you see him still putting the work in. So I have no doubt that if anything, him taking off some of the workouts and all might actually help him, because less chance of getting injured at that point. Take the preseason off. Even who cares? He'll be ready to go week 1, no problem. Connor says, "I'll go to Go Bar before I pay to comment." LOL, dude, that's fine.
It's also way more expensive than a comment, but yeah,
it will just go on Plenty of Fish, whatever you kids are using nowadays. I don't know what everybody's on nowadays. It's been so long since I've been single. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever apps y'all are on nowadays, just go on there. Much cheaper. All righty, guys. So we're gonna be back again for you next week, obviously. This is going to be the lull now, like in between the mini camp, the mandatory practices there and the mini camp there, and the actual training camp coming up there in a few weeks. So for the next few weeks, we're going to continue what we've been doing as far as our series, as far as the greatest of. We're going to have for you guys the tackles on Monday. So Gordon, the greatest offensive tackles ever to play for the New York Giants. We're going to go through on Wednesday for you. We're preparing to go through greatest coaches. So we started talking a little bit about the whole Coughlin, Parcells thing. Parcells came up again today. So we thought it was appropriate. As we keep diving into coaches, let's dive into the coaches. After the tackles, we're done with the offense. So it makes sense. It's a good breaking point there before we dive into the defensive players there, which I think a lot of people are going to really like the pass rusher show. Just heads up. We might have a few good pass rushers we talk about. But again, we will keep going with the comments. We have other ideas we're going to do also in the offseason as well to fill you guys with actual informative, meaningful New York Giants non-clickbaity content here. So again, if you guys are anybody watching is new to the program, thank you very much for joining in. We shoot live every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and of course my LinkedIn profile, which is Rob's favorite spot to watch afterwards.
It is a great show.
He just loves it.
It is.
All the business people love it. Of course, they're available live afterward. I'm sorry, they're available not live as well afterwards, I should say. And of course, about an hour or two after we're done recording, we go ahead and put it on all the audio platforms as well: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Deezer, iHeartRadio, whatever the heck all these other different ones. There's so many different programs nowadays; it's insanity. And again, of course, like us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. We're also Instagram and TikTok as well. We can't go live on those, unfortunately. They're kind of limited on what they let us go live on. But once we can do that, we'll definitely start popping on those live as well. That'd be fun. The best way is keep liking the show because that'll help us get that on those as well. And again, in the meantime, guys, we'll see you guys again on Monday. Before I go, reminder again, we had our announcement there that we had yesterday. I almost forgot the last episode, but yeah, that was just yesterday about our new membership there we offered. So again, we are offering that at buymeacupofcoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Subscriptions start at just $5 a month. Again, you by not subscribing, you will not lose anything whatsoever, as to what Connor was saying before there. If you do subscribe, though, you will have some access to additional things as well that we're going to start offering as well. So again, go to the buymeacupofcoffee.com/2giantgoofballs and you'll see all the different perks that are offered there. Again, if you don't sign up, listen, we just appreciate you guys watching, listening and stuff as well. So don't feel like there's anything necessary like that. But if you want the extra, go for the extra. Why not?
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to supersize your goofballs or not, basically?
Pretty much. It helps the show and it helps you.
Yeah. And then again, what we're going to do here is we'll have more, like I said, off-season commentary and shows here for you guys. So again, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share with fellow Giant fans here. Everything as far as us growing, to be very frank, is you guys helping us as well. It's not just the work we're putting in, it's the work you guys are putting in as well. So we do appreciate it. Let's see, we get another comment here before we go from Connor. He says, if you went to work tomorrow and they say, we're going to pay you a lot less for the same work, what will you do? So Saquon might say, F it, I'm not playing as good, and wait to get released and go, no, that's not Saquon. First off, Saquon's too smart to know that he's got a very short shelf life as a running back. He's not going to take that risk, but he's also got too much pride to let that happen. I'm not even concerned about that at all. I'm really not.
Yeah, I think he's also very worried about like his image to the media and the market that he's in front of.
Part of it is he's smart enough to know that whenever it's time for him to retire, in a couple of years, because let's be honest, it's 30 pretty much that's where it goes. He's not going to want to ruin the image, as you mentioned, that he has here in New York, because look at the guys like Tiki Barber, who's gotten media contracts and everything after the fact. Look at Carl Banks. Look at Michael Strahan. Yeah. Look at Eli, what he's still doing at that point. He's got season 3 of his show now popping up. I saw in my notifications on my phone here today. Yeah,
so, I mean, no funny business. Like, he's a good-looking dude. He's charismatic. Like, he talks well. Like, I mean, he's not sexy, but yeah. He could definitely be a face of some kind of media in New York.
Listen,
and
he's
he
well spoken. He's
That's
intelligent. He's got the ability to go into media afterwards. Definitely. The only problem with him is, and I got to see what happens in a couple of years, obviously. But he still looks like he's 21. Like, I would still card him at a bar.
Well, I mean, you card people in their 30s, so yeah, why not?
I'm just saying, like, he just looks so young still, which is, kudos to him. I wish I still look young, but it's like, at the same point, it's like, hey, can I take him seriously? Is it if he's like in the thing? I guess I can because he played, but it's like, I don't know. It's gonna like you'd have guys in their like 40s and 50s, and here he's like 25, still looking.
He's got that baby face.
He does. He's been blessed with the baby face gene, so we'll see what happens. But like I said, he's got that option. He's not gonna mess that up. Alrighty, guys. Yeah. Again, we will see you guys back here on Monday to talk about the tackles. Just saying, a certain Mr. Roosevelt Brown may pop up. A certain David Deal may pop up. Some of the bigger names. Even we might break our rule and have a current Giant pop up on the list as well. Who knows who that might be? Who knows? Yes, it's Evan Neal. No, okay. And of course, 100%. number one. Of course, would be Kenny Galladay, followed by Eric Flowers.
So good.
All right, guys. We will see you again on Monday. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?